Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the observers Sissi Cao and our esteemed panel.
Good afternoon. My name is Sissi Cao. I'm editor with Observer. I work with a group of reporters covering AI, innovation, and economy. Today we have a panel about innovation, policy, and social progress. And we have three expert speakers on this topic. We've got Mayor Sadiq Khan from London. Welcome to New York. We have Jacqui Canney, Chief People Officer of ServiceNow. And we have Nick Logothetis, Chairman and co-founder of Concordia. I want to start with Nick. So you co-founded Concordia 14 years ago. This conference takes place every September in New York during the week of the UN General Assembly meetings. This has become an important platform for political leaders and business leaders to get together and discuss global issues. With your track record of success in New York, do you have any exciting future plans you've been working on that you want to share?
Well, thank you, Sissi, for being here, and Mayor, as a native born Londoner, it's great to see you. Thank you for being here, and Jacqui, thank you as well for supporting this session and all the great work you do. So this is our 14th annual summit in New York, and the first one had about 120 people and was mostly friends and family. And this year we have close to 4,000 people registered. And it's our sort of flagship event, but we do sort of regional initiatives throughout the world. We have a significant Americas portion, which has recently taken place in Miami, and we have a European event, which has in the past taken place in different cities in Europe. We've done it in Athens, in Porto, in other cities, and what I'm very excited to announce today is that we will be doing Concordia Europe in London. And as someone who was born there and grew up there, and know just there's no place like London, and we are thrilled to do it. We'll have a sort of bipartisan co-chair of our initiative. Cherie Blair and Baroness May will co-chair the initiative, and we obviously will set a date and discuss specifics in the future. But it's really important for us to be able to represent ourselves at a city such as important as London, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be able to announce that today.
Why did you pick London?
Why did we pick London? London is I think, either number one or number two. I'm sure the mayor has a view on that. Global cities on Earth. We have a great support from the mayor's office. We're hoping to, further cement our collaboration. When we do these events in places that aren't our hometown, so to say, of New York, it's really important that we have collaboration with the government, the local government, the municipal government, or the national government, and the mayor and his team have been instrumental in that. So it's London, number one. Number two, we have a great relationship with the government, and that's really it.
Great. Of course, we have Mayor of London here. Mayor Khan, I read that back in 2016, when you were elected, you said you were going to be the most pro-business mayor ever and make London a global hub for innovation. We are seeing the city emerging as a leading voice in a lot of cutting-edge technology, AI, fintech, life sciences, for example. I found a survey by the VC firm Excel showing that London is now headquarters to 30% of AI startups in Europe. What makes London in 2024 an exciting place for tech founders and workers?
Well, firstly, it's a pleasure to be here in the second greatest city in the world. My understanding was, Nick, that the United Nations fixes the date for the General Assembly around the Concordia Summit, rather than the other way around. Look, it's a pleasure. Nick, great news. Thank you for coming to London. You'll appreciate Concordia first wanted to practice with Athens and Porto. in Europe. Now they've practiced, they want to come to London to have the real deal. So it's looking forward to welcoming you to London. Look, as far as I'm concerned, if you look at London's history in the past, we've been the cradle of innovation. The world's first underground was built in London. It was Londoners who discovered the building blocks of human beings, the DNA. It was a Londoner who invented computer programming, the World Wide Web. And so that's in our DNA, if you like. We have 1,300 AI companies in London, fintech, green tech, ed tech, legal tech, I could go on. But it's really important we don't stand still. Whether you're a city, a business, a sports team, if you stand still, you go backwards. You've got to carry on evolving, adapting, a combination of modernity and heritage. So we've got a great pipeline of talent in London. If you look at the top 40 universities in the world, London has the largest number of them in our city. Our diversity is really important in relation to my pro-business agenda, but also our ecosystem. Look, if you're in the USA, what is the cultural capital? Probably we'd say LA. What is the political capital? We'd probably say Washington. What is the financial capital? We'd probably say New York. Well, London is the cultural capital, the financial capital, and the government capital. But also we have finance, we have legal, we have accountancy, we have culture, we have life sciences, we have it all. And that's why if you're a stranger to London, come to London, you'll be welcomed. It's a great base. If you already are in London, please expand. You'll have huge potential there to do so. And if you've only been to a Concordia in New York, this is good. This is very good. London is great. Come to London next year.
Mayor Khan, I know you've led a couple of policy initiatives in support of tech founders in London. Can you speak a little about that? What policies are enacting to support the city's growth?
Well, if you're in tech, whether you're a founder or a scale-up or a big company, there's a number of things you want. You want the talent, you want certainty, particularly if you're innovating. And so what we've tried to do is to give the tech sector not just certainty in relation to regulation, but also data that you can use to innovate. Look, the public sector is brilliant in a number of ways, but we aren't great innovators. What I've done is we've released for free all the data we have from transport. So you design great things. I'll give you an example of what that's led to. We're working with Google. If you're a cyclist, you can now navigate where the quiet roads are or where the cycle lanes are to get across London. And we've shared that across the globe, 60 million journeys a month because of sharing that data. I appointed London's first ever Chief Digital Officer. Why is that important? Because it's really important we keep up to pace with developments. We set up a London office for technology and innovation. So working with our municipal boroughs, working with the public sector, try and make data accessible and easy for you to use, anonymized to make sure it's safe, of course. I'll give you another example in terms of we've got an emerging charter. So you will know what assistance there is from the state in relation to make progress going forward. But also, as I said, we've got green tech, ed tech, legal tech. So working with other sectors, how do we use technology to benefit your sector? I'll give you a simple example of some innovation that's really helped our city. So when I was running to be mayor, I was told it would take almost 200 years, 193 years, to bring the air in London within legal limits because of air pollution. Using air quality sensors and monitors and some bold policies, we will bring the air in London within lawful limits, not in 193 years' time, by next year, 184 years early, because we now share in real time what the air quality is like. We have policies that lets people know what it's like, so you know not to run on this road because you've got asthma, it's a problem. You know not to have a polluting vehicle because it discharges nitrogen dioxide, and particulate matter. Combination of tech and bold policies has made a big difference. We're using it in health. We're using technology to let us know which municipal homes have damp and mold. We're using tech working with the health sector in relation to working out if you've got a propensity to maybe have issues around heart disease, cancer, and so forth. So, it's really important we use the innovation in a safe and sensible way for the benefit of all of us, public and private.
Great. Obviously, we can't talk about tech without mentioning AI these days. I want to turn to Jacqui. Jacqui, you have firsthand experience with AI in a workplace and its impact. ServiceNow is leading digital transformation at thousands of companies that use your software. First of all, can you briefly introduce what ServiceNow does and what your products are?
Yeah, sure. Thank you all for having us and for that question. So ServiceNow is an enterprise software company that, simply put, if you think about, I'm in HR, so I like to kind of take it there where I want to go, and it's a platform which is supporting the AI business transformation that many companies, as you said, thousands, are going through. And it's a really important time to think about what AI can do, especially at a platform level, where it's expensive for companies to change out all their systems. The speed of business is just never been faster, and the ability to have information and data and an experience because of a platform solution is what our team works on. There's 25,000 people at ServiceNow. We're in 25 countries and have grown tremendously. I've been here 3.5 years, and when I started, it was 16,000 people. So you get a sense of the rapid change that happens inside our own company. AI being such a part of it, as the HR lead, we believe that not only can you use this powerful technology to change companies for their future proof of what they want to be, you have to think about the human capital renaissance that it can create. So what's the productivity that comes from using great technology, but what's the creativity it can spur too? And having those two types of skills together is really powerful for companies, communities, and governments, and schools, and so many places. So I spend my time thinking about how we school up the people, the 25,000. We have AI 101, but also responsible for the people who use our technology to feel comfortable in learning how to use that, inclusive of, obviously, AI.
Yeah, a piece of trivia I found, ServiceNow opened its London office in 2016, the same year you took office. Can you share an example of how you prioritize creation over productivity?
Yeah, so we have about 1,000 people in the London office, which we love. Our CEO is there today, so we've traded you guys out, but he loves that city, and I'm sure is stirring it up over there. For us, it's the ability to say you can make a workflow go quicker. We influence 1 million business processes and 40 billion workflows. So everybody's job that touches the technology has changed in some ways. So just because you find yourself with more time, does that give you the ability to be maybe there more for a customer, or there more for, in my case, my HR team, to be able to have the time to help our employees through more difficult conversations, to be able to have the data that helps them predict what kind of training to take, what is the next best action that an employee or a customer needs to take, and not have to take the time to do that research on their own. So we have multiple examples of where every day our team is moving and using use cases to be able to simplify work, get time out, and then find more time to do the things they love.
Yeah, it's amazing that you're hiring quickly in a time when a lot of people are worried about AI taking away their jobs.
Yeah.
I believe it's one of the biggest fears in almost every industry, including mine. I guess I have a question for Nick and Mayor Khan as well. I think one of the most scary things about AI is it learns faster than humans do. But what type of, speaking of like upskilling and reskilling, what type of skills do you think are valuable in the workplace and we can still do better than machines?
Well, I think AI offers both promise and peril. But if you look back at our history, there's always been innovation that's offered both promise and peril. We used to have cottage industries, then the Industrial Revolution led to factories and so forth. In the olden days, would have come here on our horses. Henry Ford, innovation in relation to the cars. So there's nothing, to be scared about in relation to innovation. It's about how you use the innovation to your benefit. Simple example, many of us now will use AI when it comes to choice of music, because the algorithms worked out what sort of music we like, and we're offered new music of a similar genre because of AI. That's an example of AI that's led to huge sorts of benefits. And so the challenge, I think, for societies, for me as the Mayor of London, is how we respond and the opportunity it provides. So I mentioned some of the tech sectors in London. one of my responsibilities is to make sure Londoners are trained up to use the opportunities that Jacqui and the team are providing as a consequence of software development, AI, and so forth. And there is, by the way, a first mover advantage in relation to responding to this, because the genie's out of the bottle. AI has been invented, and we've got to, governments, make sure there's proper regulation, proper safeguards, but also use the opportunity provided by the innovation to benefit society in terms of public good, but also, let's be frank, wealth creation, jobs creation, better paid, higher skilled jobs. And it's really important that the public sector works with the private sector in consultation with the public to use this genie that's out of the bottle for the good of all of us.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is AI and this whole explosion of sort of AI-related matters that seemed to come out of nowhere one day. It was just like one day we were not talking about AI. I mean, I'm talking the general public, right? And then the next day, ChatGPT released their first version to the public, and then it sort of got into the consciousness. I think it can be scary, and it is scary, and anyone who studies it clearly can look at the positive and the negative aspects of it, of which there surely are both. We view our role at Concordia to facilitate what the mayor said, which is to have government and business and the non-profit sector come and have conversations like this to explain to everyone, because it's new for all of us, right? What's going to happen next? What has happened? What do we need to be afraid of? What do we not need to be afraid of? I was having a conversation once with someone about, technologies that sort of went away and how markets that existed once don't exist anymore. And someone was, it's like the horse and buggy market never recovered, right? That's a worry in certain situations. And so we need to continue, and I think you'll see at Concordia and other similar organizations a focus on having these discussions, both in public like this, but also in private, trying to get people's questions answered and, some understanding, because that's the most significant aspect of this, I think.
Speaking of perils of AI, Mayor Khan, I read in the news that it's increasingly difficult to tell what's real and what's AI generated. I read in the news you were a victim yourself of AI deepfake earlier this year. Can you tell us what happened and how that affected you?
Yeah, one of the things about innovation is we've got to make sure there's proper regulation. So there's a thing called Deepfake. And so we have every year in the UK on the 11th of November at 11 a.m. We remember our fallen heroes, and we have Armistice Day, because it's really important we commemorate those who made sacrifices for the freedoms we have. We've also, since last October, had protests taking place in London in response to what's happening in Gaza. And what happened in London, in the UK, was some members of the far right made a deep fake audio of me, which did sound like me, I've got to be honest. I heard it myself. And I was instructing the Metropolitan Police, the Commissioner, to cancel Remembrance Day so the pro-Palestinian marches could take place. And this deep fake audio went viral. And people assumed it was me instructing the police to choose the pro-Palestinian march at the expense of Remembrance Day, Armistice Day. That led to members of the far right and others turning up in the centre of London to the Cenotaph to object to what they thought was my decision. And many of them, by the way, assaulted police officers had bones broken, they were injured, and so forth. And it spread fast because of an unregulated algorithm, which, clickbait, and it just went viral. And it shows the consequence on a Wild West when it comes to this sort of technology. Now, what should be happening is those companies, those social media platforms, should be invested in algorithms that can point out when things are deep fake, at very least employ human beings that ring up actors involved in a so-called deepfake audio to check whether it's true, and then stop misinformation, disinformation, and lies spreading. And that's just one example of a deepfake audio. My concern is in the context of a close election or a close referendum, or when there are tense feelings for reasons we know, when fears are heightened, where often there's a tinderbox in some communities, deepfake AI can be used in a malevolent way. And that's why Nick's point about this being a fora for governments and the private sector, the NGOs and public to come together is really important, so we can air these issues and concerns, learn from what's happened, and bring about positive change.
Mm-hmm. I want to follow up on London being an innovation hub. One of the side effects of a large city, or a small one, becoming an innovation hub is rising cost of living. We've seen cost of living crisis in many cities. London is going through its own result of inflation, Brexit, the war in Ukraine. Could an influx of tech workers exacerbate it? And how is your administration working to address that?
Well, let me give you an amazing stat, which is roughly speaking, half of the world's population at the moment live in cities, around half the world's population. By 2050, that's going to be 70%. 70%. Urbanization is happening for a variety of reasons. That's where the jobs are. Graduates tend to choose cities and so forth. So look, growth, the Mayor of London is a good thing. I want people to come to London. That provides both challenges and opportunities. And you've got to plan for the growth. And you've got to plan for the growth by making sure you have enough decent housing, decent public transport. You've got to think about where people live, work, play, and do leisure. You've got to plan for growth in your city. The upsides are huge for obvious reasons. People are working, creating wealth, prosperity, paying taxes, and so forth. And so, but I'm not worried as long as we plan for that. The problem is, though, in major cities, the supply of housing has not met the demand. Mm-hmm. The supply of decent healthcare has not met the demand. The supply of decent schooling has not met the demand. That's not the fault of the other, asylum seekers, refugees, immigrants. That's the fault of people in my profession not planning for that growth. And I think tech is actually an enabler mm-hmm. in relation to, for example, rather than you leaving your home and spending 20 minutes waiting for a bus, tech will tell you the bus is coming in 5 minutes, so I leave a bit later. Tech tells us which transport lines need expansion, which we can constrict because people aren't living there. Tech enables you to work from home, work-life balance. Rather than going into the office 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, you can have a good work-life balance, combination of home and work. Tech improves productivity. Rather than me having to fly around the globe, I very rarely do now, unless it's an essential. We can have Zoom and team meetings, other brands available as well. Mm-hmm. And so tech is, I think, an enabler, but it's really important, those of us in positions of power and influence, think about when it comes to growth of population and plan for it.
Yeah, while I was doing my research, I learned there's something in London called the London Living Wage Initiative, which encourages businesses to pay a higher minimum wage, about 15% more than what's required by law. Nick and Jacqui, you both have offices and employees in London or soon. First of all, how do you make that work? Like, why do business owners want to pay more than they have to?
Well, I've got a simple rule, which is, if you do a hard day's work, you should get a decent day's pay. And a lot of research has been done in relation to the most productive and successful businesses pay their staff well, treat them with respect, have diversity, and so forth. So actually, all the evidence is, by the way, those businesses that pay the London living wage are the most productive. And so we get those businesses that are paying the London living wage to talk to others about some of the benefits they've seen in paying the London living wage. Since I've been mayor, the number of businesses paying the London living wage has gone up 6-fold. So is productivity, so is profits, and so forth, because it means that easier for recruitment, easier for retention, happier staff, more productive, less turnover, less churn. They do well. I know that people who are working hard, are getting decent pay.
Jacqui and Nick, do you want to share from a private sector perspective?
Yeah, I would say you said so much so beautifully of how I feel about in our company, about how we treat our people too. The one thing we haven't talked about is people who want to learn technology that aren't in the technology sector today. And that is another area of focus for my company. We expect that we're going to have 3 million learners on our platform in 2027. So that's a lot of people who don't work at ServiceNow, but are working with our technology that's going to create a larger ecosystem of tech-enabled, tech-knowledgeable, tech-savvy workers all over the world, and in London a lot, right? And I think that opens up pathways that didn't exist for so many people, whether it was you coming out of high school, you're taking time off to take care of your family, you want to change your career. These are all pathways that technology has created that didn't exist before. So it's the new jobs.
And Jacqui's point is really important. There's 3 things we notice about this. One is not having the right kit, computer, so forth. 2 is connectivity. 3 is skills training. And those things are really important that Jacqui's doing because it enables everyone to benefit from the fruits of tech, right?
Yeah.
Nick, do you want to offer some final comments on how technology could benefit society beyond just economic progress?
I think my colleagues here said it as best, better than I could ever, and I think that the work that the mayor is doing and the work ServiceNow is doing is really critical and unique in some senses in this world, and so we were thrilled to be able to put this together. And let's have this as the first of many discussions. As we start to plan for the summit in London, we're really excited to do it and to show all of the things that you have mentioned and more. So thank you.
Great. We are over time, so thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.